Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Leanne if you're new here, and you should definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Today I thought I'd share with you 10 of my all-time favorite books and 10 books that you should definitely read while you have some extra time right now while we're all in quarantine. While I was going through my book collection and reviewing books that I loved, it just so happened that my 10 favorites happen to be all historical fiction. So I guess you could say these are 10 historical fiction must-reads. I was never much of a reader growing up, but over the past 2 years or so, it's really become my favorite form of self-care and a way for me to connect with myself and slow down and submerge myself into an impactful and inspiring story. The books I'm about to share are all very inspiring, thought-provoking, heartbreaking, and they truly all have impacted my life. I'd love if you'd share down below in the comments your favorite book, as I'm always looking for new books to add to my reading list. Now, I actually held a giveaway a few months ago on my Instagram page, Leanne Lives Healthy, including my favorite books. So unfortunately, a lot of the books I don't actually have the physical copy anymore, but I will just insert a picture, and with that, let's hop into the books. First up is The Things We Cannot Say by Kelly Rimmer. This book left me speechless. It absolutely tore my heart out throughout reading it, and on multiple occasions I had to get up and grab a Kleenex to blow my nose and wipe my tears because I truly was sobbing. It's a heartbreakingly beautiful story that follows dual narratives. There's Alina in Poland during World War II and Alice in present day in Florida. I definitely felt more connected and drawn to the historical fiction storyline versus the present, although the converging of storylines was done beautifully. The novel is so powerful and full of sacrifice, love, and survival. There also was an incredible plot twist that was so well done. I don't want to give too much away because I simply think that everyone needs to read this book, and this book honestly changed my life forever. Next is The Nightingale by Kristin. It is a story following two sisters living through the Nazi occupation in France during World War II. This novel gives us an amazing picture of the love, strength, courage, and the fight of the women back home during the war. What made this book so impactful and emotional for me was just knowing that although it was historical fiction, it was based on facts, and knowing that these things happened in real life was just so hard to imagine. It was definitely brutal and hard to read at times, and the scary and terrible things that these sisters had to go through are just so crazy. Another book that will stay with me forever. Next is The Great Alone, also by Kristin. It is a beautiful and tragic story following a family living in Alaska in the 1970s. The story is told through the eyes of Lenny, who is the daughter of a father who was a prisoner of war in the Vietnam War. If I'm being honest, the first half of this book was a little slow, but midway it really picks up, and then I just couldn't put it down. The characters were so well developed, the setting was amazing, and the ending was bittersweet but satisfying. Next is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Another beautiful and heartbreaking story full of love, survival, strength, courage, and resiliency. The story goes back and forth in time, telling the story of Kaya, who's also known as the Marsh Girl, who was abandoned by her family, her siblings, and has to grow up all on her own and survive. It is both a murder mystery as well as like a coming-of-age novel, and includes beautiful poetry and wonderful descriptions of the marsh. Overall, this book was very emotional, powerful. The character development was incredible and was very thought-provoking as well. Another must-read is Beneath a Scarlet Sky by Mark T. Sullivan. This is the fictionalized true story of Pino Lella, who was a forgotten Italian war hero in World War II. This novel captured my attention from the very first page, and it was full of ups and downs, full of action, love, and heartbreak. It honestly just hooks you emotionally. It also taught me a lot of historical events that happened in World War II that I didn't know about, and it was interesting seeing it from an Italian perspective as well. Before We Were Yours by Lisa Wingate. This book was just wow. It was very heavy and I could not put it down. It grabbed my heart from the very first page, and it dives into events that happened in real life at the Tennessee Children's Home Society. The events that happened there are rarely ever talked about, and I had no idea about it before reading the book. The novel alternates between Avery, who is a privileged lawyer in the present day, and Rill Foss, who is a 12-year-old girl growing up in Memphis during the Depression. It was heartbreakingly beautiful, and I can't recommend it enough. We Were the Lucky Ones by Georgia Hunter. I remember this book leaving me at a loss for words, and it really hit me hard. I'm gonna start crying thinking about all these books. It was so powerful and so beautifully written. It is the fictionalized true story of the Kurk family who lived in Randon, Poland. They were Polish Jews, and the story begins when World War II begins in 1939. The book spans over 8 years and follows various family members and the different experiences and things they go through along the way. Despite the sadness that I felt while reading it, I felt a sense of awe and just feeling inspired by these people. The strength and determination that each family member had through the things that they were going through was just incredible. It made me so grateful for my life and the trivial problems that I have to go through. If you do read this book, be prepared for a lot of tears and heartache. Next is Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. This book left me speechless, and I finished it in less than 48 hours, which, if you know me, that's pretty crazy because I'm a pretty slow reader. This was not a pretty or upbeat story. It was pretty horrific and brutal and brought tears to my eyes chapter after chapter. The story follows Lena, who is a 15-year-old Lithuanian girl, as her and her family are taken by the Soviets and sent to a Siberian work camp in World War II. The title is so fitting, Between Shades of Grey, because characters that you thought were horrid end up doing kind things and vice versa. Through the sadness, there is lots of love and strength and an immense amount of hope. Each character was so endearing, and every image was captured so perfectly. As cliche as it sounds, this book will make you a more appreciative and grateful person. Next is Cilka's Journey by Heather Morris. It was absolutely heartbreaking, and it was an amazing sequel to The Tattooist of Auschwitz. However, I don't think you need to read The Tattooist of Auschwitz to really be impacted and get the full story of this book. It is based on a true story, and Heather Morris tells the story of Cilka, who survives 3 years at Auschwitz, only then to be convicted of being a Nazi corroborator and sent to a work camp in Siberia for 15 years. The things that Cilka has to go through are truly unimaginable, beginning at the age of 16. Her strength, love, and kindness truly makes me want to be a better person. This book shook me to the core, and I think it's a very important piece of fiction that reflects the horror of that time and place. I really enjoyed The Tattooist of Auschwitz, but I loved Cilka's Journey. Last but not least is The Home for Unwanted Girls by Joanna Goodman. This book captured my attention from the very first page and did not let go until the very end. It brought me on an emotional roller coaster as it dives into events that took place in Quebec in the 1950s. We learn of the cruel and horrid treatment of orphans at the hands of nuns who ran these orphanages. I won't give too much away, but orphanages were transitioned into insane asylums simply because nuns got paid more for treating the mentally ill. Just knowing that this novel was based on real events made it so much more impactful, and it really opened my eyes to a piece of history that happened in my own country that I had no idea about. The author does an incredible job of creating vivid characters that you root for the entire book and pray for them to have a positive outcome. Although this book isn't an easy read, there are elements of hope and perseverance, and it is so worth it. So there we have it. I hope you can take some of these book ideas, and I hope you enjoy reading them if you do. I'm sending you lots of love and strength. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you very soon.